it's Auntie Judy.
Hi, it's Barry.
Hi, it's Jeff.
Hi, it's Ken.
Hi, it's Mama.
Hi, it's Connie.
Hi, it's Lori.
Hey, it's Curtis and... Oh, I screwed up.
I think you gotta leave it like that. Just leave it like that.
That was good.
I forgot I had to say my name.
Yeah.
It is Curtis, and hey, geeks, when we're not at our favorite restaurant, Ohana, at the Polynesian Resort, we get all of our friends together for pot stickers, noodles, chicken wings, grilled steak, and bread pudding, and we go geeking on Walt Disney World! Yeah! Woo!
Great.
Thanks, guys. Hey, Disney World geeks, Curtis Stone here. My gosh, it's so fun to get together with you guys every week, sometimes on Albany Geek Meets or that fun dinner party we did at Connie and Lori's house a few years ago. Oh, I love listening back to that. Well, welcome to episode 466 of the Geekin' on Walt Disney World podcast. This week, we really get geeky reviewing the Marvel Universe with Johnny Jamerson, Tom Ellison, Glenn Kessler, and my son, Benjamin Stone. And I've been having fun talking about my trips to Disney World, geeky roundtable chats, and reviewing a lot of your trips of Disney World from fans like you for over 8 years. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We started the podcast talking about our Disney World trips, and then we brought on you Disney geeks to tell your trip stories. Our listeners are so positive, caring, generous, and they are experienced Disney geeks. You'll get lots of ideas and tips for your next trip to Disney World from their real-world experiences and trip reports. And we encourage a family atmosphere here on the podcast. Before too long, they were calling me the Podfather, and we would love for you to join our Geekin' family. We've got an amazing private discussion group on Facebook. It's a great place to ask your questions, share your trip pictures, and just have fun chatting with one of the best group of Disney World geeks out there on the internet. And we're independent Disney travel authorized travel guides with FTC Elite Travel. FTC Elite Travel is an authorized platinum Disney travel agency. We'd love to be your travel guides. We can help you book your room, tickets, and dining reservations. You'll have fun chatting with my wife, Margita, or her good friend, and our Auntie Judy. Get started by emailing them at travelandtiaras@gmail.com. Check the show notes and you'll see their email as well as mine. If you'd like to reach out to us and talk about your next trip, we'd love to hear from you. All right, got a roundtable coming up this week. This was a lot of fun. It was a topic I've always wanted to do. We recently made friends with another podcaster, Johnny Jamerson. He's been active in our group. His podcast is called DMSW Podcast, standing for Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars. And I knew I had some geeks that loved this topic too. So I brought on Tom Ellison, Glenn Kessler, and this was really fun for me to bring on my son, who hasn't been on in a long, long time, probably the first year of the podcast, Benjamin Stone. He is an avid Marvel movie fan. Him and I went to a few of these movies as he was growing up and still like to go spend time together doing this. But I'm not that much of an expert. I have not dug in deep. So if you've not ever dug in deep, you're going to dig in deep this week. So how do you start your interest in the Marvel Universe? We'll talk about that and do a little bit of the Doctor Strange review. I did see that movie actually with Lindsay. Lindsay and I went to see that. We'll talk about the top 5 heroes from the movies, their top 5 favorite movies, our favorite villains, and some characters they'd like to see coming up in the future. Well, if you're like me and have not yet gone deep into the Marvel movie universe, settle in because my geeks this week are geeking on the Marvel Universe. Well, this one's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a roundtable, but I've never covered this topic before. But it was inspired by someone who contacted me, gosh, I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago. And he was really excited to be part of our community. And he's got his own podcast. We were actually talking about podcasting, how to get a podcast off the ground. So I said, well, why don't you come on my show and we'll get you exposed to my community. So first of all, I got to welcome Johnny Jamerson.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, Johnny. So what's your podcast?
All righty. So the name of my podcast is the DMSW Podcast, standing for Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars.
Right. So when we were chatting, I was like, we've never covered Marvel before. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about Star Wars. So we're going to do a Marvel show. So I immediately thought of a few other guys who are geeks in Marvel too. So I just knew that they would enjoy coming on. So my next guest is Tom Ellison.
Hi, geeks.
Hey, Tom. How's everything out on the West Coast?
It was a beautiful day today. It got up to 60 degrees.
Nice.
So, yeah, got up to
tropical. 60. Fantastic.
Yep.
And a guy who just got off a big Star Cruiser trip, Glenn Kessler.
Hey, Kurt. Hey, geeks. And thank you, Johnny, for bringing this topic to us. Your new podcast is must listen, every week now for me. Those are three of my favorite fandoms, of course, as well. So thanks, man.
Awesome.
And lastly, someone who's been on the show before, but it's been like 8 years. He's got the same last name as me. His name is Benjamin Stone.
What's going on?
Benjamin.
What is up?
Isn't it a real coincidence? We have the same last name.
I know, that is funny.
How'd that happen?
I could go into details, but we'll leave that for another show.
Benjamin is my youngest of 3 kids, and it's something Ben and I enjoyed over the years, going to the movies together, especially as you got to be an adult and, you don't get a lot of time with your kids as much, and you're off doing your own thing. It was something we shared a passion of, going to the movies. Absolutely.
Yeah. I always look forward to going to the movies, something to look forward to. And, we got some good topic here today. I can really go into that. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Yes. And I'm not really that schooled in this topic, except for what Ben has taught me. So I'm excited to hear and learn. Actually, I don't know where this episode is going to go. I know I got some questions here. We're going to talk about how do you get into this universe? Where do you start? Now, Benjamin and I have had this conversation, either whether it's Star Wars or Marvel, because there's just so much out there. It's kind of intimidating as someone new, but you're excited. Yeah. Maybe you're a Disney fan. Disney owns some of these properties. This is kind of appropriate right now. Galaxy's, what's the ride called? Guardians of the Galaxy has finally come to Disney World. We're all excited about that. I'll be down there going to check it out here very soon. So let's get started, Johnny. The first topic is exactly how do you get started with this Marvel universe? Like I said, it's kind of intimidating. There's a lot of movies. Boy, when Hollywood finds a moneymaker, they just keep him coming, don't they?
Yeah.
Sure do.
So where would you start? How do you get into this thing?
Well, like most topics involving Marvel and Star Wars, it's easy to have a debate. There's lots of different ways some people like or think that you should be watching it in the exact order, the way it came out, the way everybody else saw it. And a bunch of other people will tell you, no, the storylines bounce around, they change time. So you should do it chronologically. You can go online and Google it and see exactly based on the timeline from start to finish and try to watch them that way. But at least for me, I would tell, and I've talked to other people that are trying to get into it, and my advice is always watch it the same way all the fans watched it, because the fandom grew and people got into it and kept coming back for more and more. So obviously that formula works. And one of the cool things that Marvel does is they have these little cut scenes and like little teasers that they put at the end of the movie. So it kind of feeds you and gives you these little crumbs to lead you into the next movie that they're going to do. So if you watch these movies chronologically, all those little teasers and little end credit scenes don't line up the right way. And it makes it even more confusing. So if you just stick to it the way the fans did, watch it in the exact order that came out, you can't go wrong.
do they have some kind of plan of, I guess, how far out they're going and where they're going with this series?
I heard them talking about the other day. They just, like, one of those stories came out that Kevin Feige was trying to put together a little trip for a bunch of people in Marvel to plan out the next 10 years of content. So,
wow.
I think just today the news dropped that they set an opening date for Avengers Campus in Disneyland Paris. So I do not see this Marvel train slowing down anytime soon.
Well, let me bring Tom in here. Well, where do you agree with Johnny?
How do you? I do to a point, but I would tell you that if somebody new coming in, do Google it and find something that you're interested in. Just to look at the films, look at the synopsis. If you've never really seen them before, find something that interests you. You can always go back and then watch it in chronological order or in release order, however you want, but start with something that you have an interest in. There's nothing worse than, watching from the beginning when you don't care about Iron Man. It doesn't interest you, but maybe Guardians of the Galaxy interests you. So start off with something that you have an interest in first.
That's great.
And then you can go back and then watch it in any order that you want.
Now, do all of these movies, were they first published in the comic books, Tom?
Yeah.
So you kind of know the story when you go sit down and watch one of these movies?
No, well, you did before Doctor Strange. They were separate. There have always been a lot of changes, from the comic book to the screen. And a lot of it was due to, you don't really want to tell the exact same story because that's really not really compelling. And then when you had bigger events like Infinity War and Endgame, they had to change those stories pretty radically because they didn't have the rights when they filmed it to a lot of the other characters. So they kind of still had to change it. But now they've kind of really muddied the waters with the Doctor Strange film. And if you haven't seen it, I'm really not going to go into it, but I think most people here know exactly what I'm talking about.
No. Well, that's going to be my next question is we're going to just cover Doctor Strange a little bit. So Glenn, where do you fall on this how do you help me as a beginner? Where do I start?
Yeah, I love Tom's, kind of comment there. Find something that intrigues you. If you're not listening or watching Marvel content at this point, if you're listening to this because you want to know where to enter, you might not want to start right at the beginning with Iron Man. You might need a gateway movie or television show to get in. But once you're hooked, once you want to know more about this land, then I go right back to Johnny's comment, and you've got to start at the beginning. And I'll tell you why. I think the movies build from kind of earth-based and very simple technology-based ideas, and then they get slightly more fantastical every time out. You don't want to jump right into outer space, space operas, talking raccoons and things like that. And how did we get here? I remember the joy of going through that experience. And, Iron Man, which, is just based on, a very intelligent, wealthy man who creates a suit of armor around himself. He has no magical powers. He has nothing other than the intelligence and the chutzpah to go out and do it. Captain America comes next, and that's a period piece in the 40s. And aside from the super soldier serum, there's no real kind of magic there. And I remember the third movie, the third character, I should say, that gets introduced is Thor. That first time seeing the gilded realm of Asgard and just being floored as we've been slowly taken on this journey. And that blew my mind. You wouldn't want to just jump in with something like a multiverse story, right into it. Let that build, let that, kind of become something that gets paid off each time.
Lindsay was wanting to go see the Doctor Strange because the lead character there, she likes that actor. What's his
Benedict Cumberbatch? Or,
yes, she's always been a big fan of his. So she was really excited. She's like, I don't know, Dad. You don't really know what you're getting into. And boy, that was a tough one. She tried to, on the way to the theater, get me caught up. But you know what? I still found it entertaining. It still was. I enjoyed it anyway. All right, Benjamin. I don't know what else there's left to say there. Kind of a tough question to come in on fourth. What was the very first Marvel movie then?
Oh, the first one, and the first one I saw in this MCU was Iron Man.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Why would I think? What's the one you had? You said you had me watch Captain America.
Yes.
Oh, start off.
So when we started, I actually am in favor of the chronological. I just like the way in timeline how it makes sense. I like where it starts in history with Captain America in the 40s, and then you go into Captain Marvel in the 90s. For some reason after watching them, it just seems whenever I want to go back and rewatch them, I always do it in that order now.
Okay.
Just because it just flows better. And I heard a point. At the end, you hear the end scenes that kind of just don't match up with, the timeline. And that does take a little bit away from it. So in that case, you would want to watch it in release order. Iron Man was the first one that I saw. When it first came out, I was kind of uninterested because I was like, I didn't really know too much about Iron Man. I was more of a Spider-Man. That's what we were given before. So I remember just the first time I saw it, I was like, a little hesitant. And then at the end of it, I was absolutely blown away. I might have seen it 2 more times in theaters. And I was a little kid. I was probably like 11 years old or so. To me, it was just mind blowing. I didn't know you could make a character like Iron Man, so intense and so human. And I still think about it, just being there and just being like, whoa, what am I getting into? And then to see them slowly build everything together it was incredible.
You had a nice, because you grew up with these movies. These movies really started in your childhood, which is a nice, these guys were all old guys when they
I'm the outlier.
Introduced.
Well, I think each of us has maybe Tom and Johnny and I are all similar ages. I think for us, I know Tom was into the comics, but for me, it really started on Saturday morning cartoons with X-Men and Spider-Man and Friends and some of those little dribs and drabs out, but the movies really started getting going with Spider-Man, with the Bryan Singer Spider-Man, what am I saying, the X-Men and then the Spider-Man, and those first installments where the CGI was not there, it was a lot of practical effects and things like that. There was an interest in seeing this brought to fruition. And I got to tell you, I think the CGI revolution has really paved the way for these comic book movies to take off in a way that they didn't in earlier decades.
I know this is not Marvel, but wasn't Batman kind of the first big superhero movie to break it out?
Don't get Tom going on DC, Kurt. You're not going to rein it in.
No, it was Superman the movie.
Superman the movie.
Reeve.
Okay.
With Christopher Reeve.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Great one, Tom. How long ago was that?
That's my 78, childhood. I think.
That's 78, the one that kicked it. It doesn't seem like they accelerated that fast then.
Well,
so like
after Superman 3, you just really don't want to watch it. Yeah, just Superman 3 on. Yeah, just saying.
Yeah.
They're clearly not nearly as good as 1 and 2.
Right. Okay. So there was some time in between. I mean, I just remember with Batman. I remember going to see Batman with even Ben's brother Harry, and he was really into the Batman. But it seemed like right after that, and then definitely Spider-Man just got it.
And then before that, you had the really regrettable Howard the Duck film.
Well, the fun part is you bring up that Batman. I think you're talking about the Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson one.
Yeah.
That one was played a little campier, a little over the top. Yeah. The color scheme is really wild.
Right.
I think the thing that really separates the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is this balance of gravity and humor that they seem to navigate beautifully. Not to bring up DC again, but they're very dark. It's very heavy. The violence level, the color palette is very morose. But the thing that they've been able to do, even back to Iron Man, was keep it fresh and humorous. And that's Robert Downey Jr. Just perfect casting there. I mean, he kind of was Tony Stark in his life, that redemption story that he was going through. Just perfect casting. The stories have not always, there are hits and misses here, but been very topical. That was about arms dealing in the Middle East at a time when we were at war in the Middle East. There's been NSA spying in The Winter Soldier at a time when that was prescient and going on in our world. Race relations in Black Panther, and you can keep going with it. And I think that they've had their finger on the pulse of a lot of contemporary topics. And that's always, I think, been a Marvel into the comics. And Tom can maybe speak to it a little better. That's always kind of been the thing that Marvel was excellent at. I know the X-Men is a very thinly veiled allegory of civil rights. Tom, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, Marvel has always been known for that. You're right. When Claremont started writing the X-Men, because X-Men was pretty much dead after like issue 65 of the original series. They went into reprint, and it was reprinted for several years. And when they got Claremont to write it, that's when he brought in the civil rights themes to everything. And literally, I would tell you, as far as Disney go, I am adamant to this day that Elsa is the first mutant. If you know anything about the X-Men and how mutants were treated even by their own family, that is exactly how Elsa was treated by her parents. The exact same way. It's not magic. She has a mutant ability. She's got the X gene. She's Bobby Drake's ancestor, but
they shouldn't have locked her up in her room. They should have brought her to Xavier's School for the Gifted Kids.
That's right.
I mean, there could have
been a whole other movie.
There are quite a few memes about that. But that is Marvel's bread and butter, and DC tends to be a lot more dramatic, a lot more dark than Marvel wants to be. But that said, Marvel's tread down that path with the Marvel Knights logo. They did. And even to this day, titles like Moon Knight and Daredevil, they walk that same path.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move into another question, which is, who saw Doctor Strange and what can you say about it? What is the talk going on about Doctor Strange in the theaters right now still, I believe?
I'll grab the mic on this one. I just did this on my episode on my show 2 weeks ago, because this was, to me, the first time that a Marvel movie almost made me feel like I was watching a Sony Marvel movie, where Sony's been known to almost kind of spoil their biggest moments and their biggest surprises in their trailers. I felt like Marvel kind of dropped the ball on Doctor Strange, and they made some of those same mistakes. They put the kind of like the two biggest surprises or characters or groups of characters right in the trailer, and you had a good idea who the bad guy was going to be in the movie as well. So to me, that's one of the great things that Marvel does, is build the anticipation, and there's always some like big jaw-dropping moment in the middle of the movie somewhere that you didn't see coming. I mean, everyone can go online and go on Twitter and go find spoilers if you want, but you can pretty much kind of float through the middle and just enjoy the content and still get a surprise or two every time you go to the movie theater when a new movie comes out. And I can't figure out what happened here on this one. They seem to let kind of all the secrets out of the bag ahead of time. So it was a good movie. I don't want to like knock it and say don't see it, just skip it. It was trash, because it wasn't. I thought it was a very good movie, but there was no like pop to it the night of seeing it.
There was no big reveal that we're used to.
Right.
There really wasn't. I share the exact same feelings as you. But I also feel that it was a potential missed opportunity. In the very beginning, they mentioned that this wasn't magic, it was witchcraft. And this could have, not that you have to have these characters on screen for a long period of time, but you could have introduced more of the supernatural, more of the horror element, because you got Sam Raimi directing the film. He knows what to do with these properties. To have him consult for 5 minutes with a guy like Brother Voodoo, or bring in a Hannibal King, or bring in, any iteration that you want of the Ghost Rider. Bring in Damon Hellstrom. bring in somebody from that world just for a few minutes, because down the road, they're going to do a Midnight Suns. Down the road, you can even bring in one of my favorite guys there, Werewolf by Night. I love his name, Jack Russell. Now, how funny is that? but, bring one of these guys in. Bring one in, because they specifically said witchcraft. I thought this could have been a nice little seed planted, because we all know Marvel plays the long game towards Midnight Suns.
And they called it Multiverse of Madness. So
yeah,
right in the title alone, they opened the door for like, hey, we could get pretty crazy here and test the waters. And like you said, just this was your opportunity to throw in literally any character you want. You can even have 3 different actors play the same character, and then just wait for the fan feedback and be like, okay, we had 3 people play Dr. Voodoo. Who did it best? That guy? All right, cool.
Yeah.
We do the Dr. Voodoo movie. That's the guy we're going with.
And you could have brought in another Sorcerer Supreme, though one did appear in the end credits. You could have brought, and tied into the X-Men, again, Magic. You could have brought her in as Sorcerer Supreme of Limbo. She could have been there too.
Well, speaking of Sony, you mentioned Sony, Johnny, that they normally kind of give away all their spoilers, but the last movie that came out was a Sony product, that No Way Home. And they did a much better. I do try to avoid spoilers. I'm trying not to watch Love and Thunder, kind of spoiler stuff right now, because I find it's a much more satisfying experience if I go in with very few of those kind of spoiled things. Could not avoid it on Doctor Strange. Did hear a lot of those voices, a lot of those characters, a lot of those rumblings. But in No Way Home, I managed to stay pretty clear of that, and the pure unadulterated joy of like little Glenn Kessler, seeing characters from, years and years ago emerge up onto the screen was absolutely worth, kind of burying my head in the sand on that. And that just didn't happen in this one. There was nothing left up their sleeve, no pun intended with the magician there. But, it was a real shame, I thought, that they couldn't have gone any deeper into that. Now, maybe there are, I've started to see screenshots of some of the frozen, we'll get this when we get the DVDs out, some of the realms that they went through as they passed through the multiverse. And there were lots and lots of Easter eggs hiding in there. So I can't wait to be able to freeze frame and see some of that. But I just don't think that's really enough for the casual fan who's not going to, freeze frame and that or not even casual fan for me, for someone who will go to the movies. I'm not going to read comics. I've read maybe one comic book in my life. I'm not a big comics guy who just loves this MCU and these characters. You got to give it to me in the theater. You got to give me in those 2 hours, and maybe that's another point. Why is this movie under 2 hours when they've made so many other 3-hour movies? We're happy to sit there, expand and explore the universe, as you said. Give me the madness. Give me more multiverse. Don't give me 4 total. I think that was it.
Yeah, it almost felt like a DC thing, like where they were like, all right, we're going to try something a little bit different here and test the waters and kind of see how it goes. Like, you already have the fan base. Like, you already have us. You've already proven yourself. Just do what you do and give the fans what they want. Like, it just felt like they were pulling back the reins. And like you said, they nailed the Spider-Man trailers so well. It almost kind of like I was thinking, okay, Kevin Feige must have finally really put his foot down and said, like, listen, if we're doing this, we're going to do it our way, and we're going to cut out on the spoilers, which to then have Doctor Strange shake out the way that it did, it made it almost even more like, what is going on here? Because just like you said, Sony typically spoils it, and they did such a good job on their last project to then see the tables turn and have Marvel make that mistake. It was just strange. No,
right.
No pun intended.
Can I go spoiler, not spoiler free, but spoilery for 1 minute? Fast forward if you want.
Of course.
And Ben, cover your ears.
No, that's all right. I pretty much know I've had it spoiled, so we're in the clear.
If we're talking about our feedback on this movie, I hate the way that the Scarlet Witch is turned instantly into a villain. There is no humanity left in her. Why did we watch this television show where we come to understand her grief, empathize with her, feel her loss, only to then go full villain? So I will say I am temporarily upset about this. And the temporarily is because I hope that later, and they should have done it in this film, but I hope later they will show the power of the Darkhold a little more succinctly and say that that's what corrupted her. I don't think that 30-second, or maybe it was, 5-second end credits after WandaVision is enough to say all this redemption arc that she's, kind of showing through this process is undone to the maximum degree. So rant over.
Well, Benjamin, all I can tell you is I didn't know any of this going in, and I was entertained. I was entertained.
That's kind of rough.
I had a fun time. I'm getting more entertained by listening to you guys, and I'm going to get excited to go. My Disney Plus subscription will help me out with this, getting into all these, right?
Oh, absolutely. That is the basis. That is the foundation right there.
They're all there, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. Did you want to add to any of that conversation, Ben, before we get into the next topic?
I think I'm all right because I still haven't seen it yet, so I will be able to give you a little clearer opinion once I get to it. But it will be a this weekend type of thing.
All right.
So
you can let me know after what you thought.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that you have their take on it. All right. Do some fun, some top fives. Let's rank our top 5 heroes. Benjamin, you already told me this is hard to do.
Yes. They're constantly changing for me, honestly. It's
that's okay. We're not going to hold you to it. If you change your mind, that's what we do here on the podcast when we talk about Disney World. It's always, right. That was my favorite meal. Like every time, right? Like Glenn?
The last meal is your favorite.
The last meal is always your favorite. So, Johnny, who are your 5 top heroes from the movies?
This is a tough list to do because there's at this point they've made so many movies and they've opened these doors to us to so many different characters. It's
you gotta give me why. Like think about why you like one more better than the other.
Sure. So, let's see. So we'll go 5 to 1 for my list. I'm going to go with Okoye for my number 5 because she's, to me, there's something cool about a superhero or a character from these superhero movies that's just a person that's just super tough and just figures out a way to stand toe to toe with all these characters with these superpowers from different places, but they can still hang their hats right there with everybody else.
What movie is she in?
I think the Black Panther movies. She's part of the Dora Milaje that protects the Black Panther.
Fantastic. Yes. I heard Black Panther. I heard a lot of people really raving about. Is that true?
It's good.
Absolutely. They absolutely crushed it with that movie. And unfortunately, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. Yeah. Such a tragedy to have him pass away far too soon.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
Gonna be a hole.
Incredible too that he pulled off the roles in the movies that he did while he was as sick as he was too. Just credit to him to fight through it and make those movies.
And to do it in private, to not let Hollywood and the public know that he was suffering the way that he did. Amazing man.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely.
A superhero.
Yeah.
Yep.
A real superhero. All right, number 4.
Number 4, I'm going to go with Spider-Man, specifically the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I think for the most part, we've gotten pretty good Spider-Man all along. I think Andrew Garfield kind of got a rough shake of it there. I don't think it was so much his fault as it was kind of the writing and the studio and the direction that they wanted to take that character. But I think he did a pretty good job. But if I had to pick my one favorite Spider-Man, it would be the Tom Holland version that we got. I think he plays that awkward high school kid role so perfectly. So I'll give Tom Holland Spider-Man my number 4. I'll go to Black Panther for my number 3 for all the reasons we just talked about. Just an awesome character, and I think he gets a little bonus points just to that storyline in real life for what he fought through and what that character meant to so many people. So he gets my number 3 spot, and then my top 2. It's because if you remember from kids growing up watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I was always a Raphael guy. I love that character. He's never like the number 1 or the leader guy, but he's that like sarcastic, like number 2 that should be the number 1 type of character. So my number 2 is Rocket Raccoon, and my number 1 is Iron Man, because that's, to me, those two guys to a T. They're sarcastic, always shooting off their mouth, and they're not that clean cookie cutter Captain America type. They're just a different style all to their own, and that's my favorite style. So
great list.
That's my top 5.
That's how you do it, Johnny.
Thank you.
Well done. How do you beat that, Tom? What's your top 5 and explanations?
There's going to be a little bit of overlap here.
Okay.
My number 5 is Rocket. I love what he brings to the team. He brings you that little edge, and potentially he's smarter than the rest of them. Yeah. Everybody else in the MCU. Potentially he is. I mean, look how fast he can build stuff. He builds it faster than Tony Stark. It's crazy. Crazy.
Right. Nice.
But I've always loved him. Number 4 is Sam Wilson. Okay. I love that character. I'm actually reading his Sentinel of Liberty book right now. I've always been drawn to that character, and I loved, even though it wasn't in the movie, but in the series, I loved his reluctance of, should I be the next Captain America? Am I worthy to be the next Captain America? And it turns out Steve was right. He got it right. So I've always loved that character. Number 3 would be Shang-Chi. And Shang-Chi, because that was the first comic book I really started reading way back in the 70s. The Master of Kung Fu. I started reading that growing up, and he's changed a lot. He's been totally retconned, but I still love the character. I still do. Number 2 would be Doctor Strange. Okay. Doctor Strange, because I love all things magic, and I love all things supernatural. And
I'm sorry, Tom, but this movie that just came out, was that the second Doctor Strange?
That's the second one.
Okay.
Yeah, but I enjoy reading the books, and spoiler alert here, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, since now the MCU is now Earth 616. Doctor Strange is dead in the comics.
So that presents
he's now like a Force ghost. So Clea is actually Sorcerer Supreme of Earth and of the Dark Realm, the Dark Dimension. So that'll be interesting to see what they do there. But number 1 for everything that he stands for, everything that we would want someone to stand for, is Captain America.
All right.
He's my absolute favorite.
No kidding. I don't know what I would be thinking, but what's Captain America? What are the characteristics?
He stands
of him?
for everything good, trustworthy. You can rely on him to do the right thing. It may not be the popular thing, but he stands up for what he believes in.
Excellent.
I mean, he was also known as the Sentinel of Liberty for a reason.
Fantastic list. All right. Great job, Glenn. Let's hear your top 5 heroes.
Wow, hard to follow these guys. These
guys are great.
Well, I'll do my best. I'm gonna start with a go with me here if I can, because he's not actually in the MCU proper yet. But with these moves of some of the Netflix properties, I am really hoping that the Punisher comes on to the MCU soon. I love this character in the seasons that he's in of his own show and crossing over to some of the other Defender type shows. He is tough. He says and does a lot of the things that I think each of us wants to do, deep down.
No filter?
Yeah. He's pretty un-PC, but sometimes that's exactly what you need. And bonus, John Bernthal, who's the actor, grew up in the next town over here. He's just a couple of months younger than I am. He was friends with a lot of mutual friends, so he was a little bit of a tough kid. When he was growing up around here, I didn't know him very well, but I'd seen him a couple of times. But really cool to just have someone make it so big.
Fantastic.
He's a great actor.
Love it.
I'm going to go then with my number 4 as Captain Marvel. And this is a surprise pick, I think. She caught a lot of flack and this is the female Captain Marvel, and not Marvel, of old, a man. But Carol Danvers, who is played by Brie Larson. And when her movie came out, it upset a lot of people that a woman had the lead. And there was this whole campaign to smear her on Rotten Tomatoes and drive the results down, and and lampoon and cause a big ruckus. And I'll tell you, the first couple of times I saw that movie, I wasn't into it as well. It seemed like this very gruff, overacting, overly confident. It's grown on me. It's grown on me tremendously as I've watched her more, and I start thinking about it through the difference of a male-female lens. I'm obviously looking, at superheroes as big buff guys, and the way that they talk and the way that they act. She's doing the same thing. But when a woman does it, it feels a little different. And I think that is something that she really thought about, and the directors and the writers really thought about and said, how are we going to do this? I never will forget, they were talking about in the promotional posters that she wasn't smiling. And that women should smile when they're on these movie posters. But you look at Iron Man, you look at Captain America, you look at some of the other, they're not smiling. They're looking tough. They're looking down to business, like they're getting down to business. And this is what she's doing. And that's who she is through and through in that movie. Watch it again. I think she's someone who, gets better and better the more you watch, the more you see her in action. For my number 3, I'm going to echo the great Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Chadwick Boseman playing T'Challa. And, for all the reasons you guys mentioned, and I'll even throw in a little bonus, he shows up in the What If cartoon series as Star-Lord T'Challa. And
that was great.
Magic, right? It's magic.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, that was everything I didn't know that I wanted before they made it. It's just wrap you up in a warm hug. That's a great episode.
Absolutely.
And coincidentally, I mean, aside from a couple of other 1-minute cameos in later What Ifs, that's kind of his swan song. That's his way to go out. And it was a beautiful way to go out. How did I forget? Thor. Now, I've got to clarify. Thor from probably Ragnarok forward.
Yeah.
Because there are 2 Thors, right? There's the Kenneth Branagh first Thor movie, which reads like Shakespeare in outer space, and it's great. It's fine. He's so dour. You can't approach him. You can't connect with him. And then we do not speak of the Dark World. Watch it in chronological order if you must. Watch it in any order you want. But but from the time Taika Waititi gets a handle on him, and frankly, I understand Chris Hemsworth, the actor, is upset at the direction that his lead character is going. So he wanted to play it with a little more humor. He wanted to play it a little lighter, a little more jokey, and just absolutely found gold with Taika Waititi directing. That is a gem of a film. I actually remember being confused and even angry at it when I left the theater the first time, because I was like, this isn't what a Thor film is. And then, it's one of my favorites right now. So that's Thor. And for my number 1, I'm totally cheating here. I'm going with Iron Man and Captain America, a tandem. The COO and the CEO of the MCU. And I think, and I wanted to link them here because they are on exactly 180-degree opposite character arcs. One goes from being incredibly selfish and finds himself ultimately the most selfless, saving the entire universe with his sacrifice. The other one starts off completely selfless, and at the end takes himself out of the game entirely to go live that life that he missed. And I just love that is nurtured over the course of a decade and 20 movies, not explicitly, but over the course of such a long run, that these guys who write these things are absolute masters of telling these stories, pulling at the heartstrings, and getting you to really think about what it means to be a human, what it means to be motivated by things, a calling, purpose, passion, big things, small things, just an absolutely beautiful poetry to the combination of those 2 guys going in their opposite directions. So that's my list.
Wow. Fantastic. I wonder how far in advance they build these stories. I mean, you're talking 10 years. Are they figuring it out as they go, or they got them laid out?
I think it's a combination of both. When you hear some of the guys talking very early on, they could not have conceived of an MCU. They were hoping. They were putting in little stingers with Nick Fury at the end of Iron Man, hoping that it would tease people enough to get another.
Okay.
But once they saw the writing on the wall, once they knew that they had these big franchises, like Johnny's saying, they're planning out the next 10 years. They're producing 3 to 4 movies. I don't know, 3 to 4 TV series every year. Is a massive operation, a lot of moving parts and a lot of heroes, villains, and storylines that I hope the creative team is strong enough to navigate well. And that what I said before in spoiler time is an anomaly, and that we get those characters really that we can connect with.
All right, Benjamin.
All right.
Heroes.
Taking it down.
Marvel.
Taking it around. So my fifth, going 5 to 1. This one really is, it got me into Marvel. Is I have to go with the OG Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. That is like my childhood right there. And then to have them come back in Spider-Man No Way Home, it was just like, I again, emotionally, I mean, just watching, in theaters and just seeing them on screen together. And that really is just so great. And now there's talks, that he could be potentially come back into the movies and, all this in the works. And just to see him, he's a dweeby, Toby, Peter Parker. He's awkward. And I just loved all that. And it was, that's seeing that as a kid way back when, it was probably one of my favorite things. I wanted to be Spider-Man. So that was, I dream of it, pray every night, wake up and I'm, Spider-Man.
Didn't you jump out of your grandmother's bedroom window thinking you were Spider-Man?
That could be
a true story?
That is a true story. Yes, that is very much true.
And your mother was beside herself, and your grandparents didn't know what happened?
They had no idea. I figured it out. I was laying on a soft spot. I was going out up and around like a little carousel, and then eventually my grandfather was like, saw me land and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And
climbed out the window.
Yeah, but I got busted. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Number 4. I'm gonna have to go with Nick Fury. I love Samuel L. Jackson. He's a great actor. Nick Fury to me, just he's kind of holds it all together. He's the reason why we get the Avengers movies. He brings them all together, and he's just he's such a hard kind of guy. Hangs with them, just the leader, and the way he's kind of evolves over the movies, where he's at first he's by the book, and then once you see Shield collapse, he kind of just has to roll with the punches. He's just a great character. I love him. To see him in Captain Marvel, that was great. When they go back to the 90s and you see him reboot and start where his beginnings were. So that's number 4.
They often mix these characters together from the other movies, don't they? I mean, I noticed that in
Yep, they're all
Strange.
jumping in, making cameos. Yep. Yeah, that's the beauty of Marvel right there. It's all intertwined. It's they always make appearances. That's it's exciting.
Number 3.
This is where it gets tricky. I mean, there's just so many
top
to pick
3
from.
are tough
really.
to split, huh?
Yeah, I definitely know my number 1, but number 3, I probably would have to say Iron Man. Just the Tony Stark, his characteristic of just the cocky right from the beginning, just always never serious, but also at the same time, you can always rely upon Tony. Like you said, selfless at the end, and that whole arc with him, from the beginning when he's just he goes through like a party phase, and it's just this whole everything about him is just great. Number 2. Now we're getting tough here. For number 2, I'm going to have to go probably, I'd say Black Panther. That character is just great. Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P. That whole story. And it kind of, I didn't really know anything about Black Panther. So going into that movie, I was pretty much blind. I didn't have really any expectations at all. What I love about that, with all the technology they have, it blows your mind. And, he can hang with the best of them. He's right up there. You know what I mean? His story, how you become the Black Panther. I get into that tribal, and it's very, down to earth. And, my number 1, Captain America. That's it.
All right.
You have to go with Captain America. The
noblest
of the noble.
Here. I'm hearing the
Yeah,
Captain
no, he
America,
is.
Black Panther patterns here.
Yep, he is. He's the epitome of everything that anyone wants to be. Perfect. I mean, a perfect individual. I mean, he's always going to do the right thing. The most reliable, I believe, out of all the characters. He says what he wants to say and how he feels, and he acts on that accordingly. He's strong-minded. It's just you really can't beat him. Yeah.
All right, Bench. Well, now I'm starting to think our next topic is going to be your 5 favorite movies. I'm wondering these heroes are probably going to be featured in your top 5 movies. Johnny, what you got for your 5? Starting with number 5 for top films. I can get excited. See, I'm going to get excited about these characters, but now I'm going to know which films I'm going to be the most excited about seeing.
I get to pass the torch. I feel bad. I get the first shot on every category here. Give me the third or the fourth one pass on this one.
All right. Tom, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go. Number 5 would be Ragnarok. Ragnarok was such a big turnaround, especially after the disappointment of the Dark World. To have such levity in it was just truly not only unexpected, but was necessary in a way. You needed a story like that. And I'm glad that we were able to introduce new people into it too. So,
excellent.
It was great to see Valkyrie finally. So, especially as long as she's been in the comics, it was great to finally get Valkyrie.
Nice.
Number 4 would be the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right.
I'm truly now when I used to read Guardians of the Galaxy, nobody on that team was there except for Drax, I think. It was all other people, and their leader was Starhawk. So it was it was a little different seeing that group of people, but when you take that was one of their big early on gambles. I mean, Iron Man was their biggest gamble that they ever did because they really took a C character and made him huge. And so they were kind of rolling the dice again on Guardians of the Galaxy, and it paid off. I mean, one thing you can always count on Marvel to do over anybody else, especially Warner Brothers and DC, is casting. They have really yet to miscast anybody.
So there's more characters that they could have used for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, actually, even though he's a Ravager in the movies, but Yondu was a member of the Guardians when they started it back up again in the 90s.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, they've had tons of people, members of the Guardians, for a long time.
Huge hit.
Yeah, it was a huge hit, and the soundtrack was excellent. By the way,
hey, hooray for
that's probably one of the best soundtracks ever.
It is. I'll tell you, it's interesting to people of our age because we knew all those songs, and it's kind of fun to.
And I loved it when they
getting interested in those songs.
Absolutely. So number 3 would be, even though it wasn't my favorite storyline that they could have done for the character, but Shang-Chi. For the reasons I said earlier, it's because it's the first thing that I read. Even though they changed lots of different things about him, like his dad was never the Mandarin. That's been pretty much well played out. They had better storylines available to them, but they chose that one, which is fine. And now that's starting to meet out in the comic books. They have now introduced the 10 rings in that form in the comics now. So weird things are coming. Number 2 would be the Black Panther.
All right.
That was such a well-written film. It had a villain that, is he really a villain? I don't know. Is he? Is he trying to reclaim what he's lost? Is he trying to, get a little bit of revenge on the family that turned his back on him? Obviously, he does some very bad things, Killmonger, but I truly love that film. It lived up to the hype above and beyond, and I'm just saddened that Chadwick Boseman is not going to be around to continue.
Yep, that's tough.
It's,
Isn't that the way? It seems the
yeah,
good die
and
young.
you know what? And, you know, I'm on the fence. I can see points for and against recasting it. But, you know, I'm just going to do like what we do with, you know, all of us are Disney fans as well. We always say trust the Imagineers, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's just trust Kevin Feige and his direction of what he's going with it.
Nice.
That's all we can do.
Well
And
done.
my favorite,
number one. Yep.
my number one is Winter Soldier, because who doesn't love a spy espionage film? That was perfection.
Nice.
Right there. It truly was.
Captain America, right?
Mm-hmm. The Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
That is a good one.
All right, Benjamin. I'm going to mix it up. Thanks, Johnny, for saying mix it up. We're going to go to Benjamin. Let him go next for his favorite
All right.
movies.
Oof. You know,
Fine.
I have the list right here too because there's just so many now. You know what I mean? It's just the list is it's just
how many are there?
And,
do you guys have an idea?
It's got to be at least 30 now.
Is that right?
Maybe 25. I don't know.
I got a long weekend coming up to.
It's getting up there. Let's see. So if I have to, number 5, I would have to go with Endgame.
Ooh, what's that one?
Endgame is what kind of closes the whole first sequence of the beginning of all the movies with Thanos and everything basically that the Marvel Universe was leading up to for those 10 years or so. And it was it's Return of the Jedi basically. It's the end, of the story into the new chapter of the Marvel Universe where everything is going, which we are in right now, which is all this, Doctor Strange introducing all these new characters. So Endgame is great. I think really is just like the character of Thanos too. He kind of really ties, because like we were saying before, is he a villain really? I mean, he overall he wants there to be peace and prosperity for everyone, but he has the most horrific way of achieving that goal with it, which is basically killing everyone and killing half the population. It's at times you find yourself just like almost agreeing with him and being like, oh wait, hold on, he is the bad guy. He has good points, but he is the bad guy. Nice. But this the whole thing with all these characters coming to an end, it was just like, it's just the icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Just how everything with Iron Man. It's good
when they finish in a good way.
Right. And, I didn't want to see any of these guys go, you know what I mean? Just with the Iron Man and all these guys go, it was, it's tough to see them take off. But I mean, it couldn't have been in any better way. And it was just the whole way ended perfect.
All right. Good. Number 5.
4.
Number 4.
Yeah. Yep. Number 4. I think I'm going to have to go with No Way Home. I just had so much fun watching it. I mean, it's not really necessarily the best story in the series, but just the way of bringing in all these characters. I mean, the first one to do it, just finally, we now know that everything in Marvel is possible and is canon and now is part of the timeline. So, this means the X-Men, I know they come into Doctor Strange. So these guys are all now, their stories are intertwined. It just opens the doorway for now Venom is going to be, somehow linked. It really did open the door. And just to see all these characters, the Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and, all these guys come back in and just interact with each other was just great. I'm a huge Willem Dafoe guy. So to see him come back, and he just stole the show. I had to say that was his performance, and that was just in classic Willem Dafoe fashion. So that's definitely my number 4. All right, and this is where it gets tough. Oh man, number 3, I think I'd have to go with Ragnarok. Ragnarok, like before, we're saying just the first 2, in my opinion, Thor movies were just absolute duds and had nothing. It really was tough to get through them personally. And then Ragnarok just totally destroys that and rebuilds the character in such a way that it's like just such a redemption for him, honestly. And the character, now it almost like boosts him up as one of my favorite characters, because before he kind of just, like you're saying, very Shakespearean, and it's just kind of just a little hacky almost. So to see him, finally like have like a real kind of personality. He's funny, he's goofy, is great. So number 3, Ragnarok. Now we're getting down to the wire.
Last
Number two, I'm gonna have to go with Winter Soldier. That is one of the best Captain America movies, and obviously one of the best in the MCU. What I loved about it personally is that the hand-to-hand combat in this was, at the time, we kind of had a lot of CGI, a lot of out-of-worldly kind of experiences in the MCU, and this just brought it down to like the bare grit, just hand-to-hand action combat, just like a total punch in your face type of movie. And that's why I like those characters too, Winter Soldier and Captain America. It's like these guys are they're not flying around, they're not indestructible. So with that, the way it was put together is just great. The spy and the infiltration of Hydra over the years in Shield, and just to see the collapse of that, but that basically was like a huge like turning point kind of in the series too, because you build up this Shield as the overall power and what's all good, and to tear that down and just start from scratch, it was awesome. So number 1, I have to go with the Iron Man. That was the first one in the MCU that I saw.
So no Spider-Man got in here.
I had the No Way Home.
Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't recognize
that one's for that.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, Iron Man takes the cake. It was I believe Tom said it was he's kind of a C-list character, and that's kind of what I was. I mean, even my younger self, I was like, yeah, I don't know where they're gonna go with Iron Man, and just the perfect casting, absolutely perfect casting with Robert Downey Jr. And it grips you the entire time. Bring in with modern situations. It's just it's one of my favorites, and still holds up to this day. I mean, none of these movies really they're all holding up 10 years later. You know what I mean? So
I'll tell you one thing I was thinking, Ben, when you were talking, I was watching some television. I like the action movies, and I was watching. Well, it's not really action, but I was watching Ozark, which is really dark. I mean,
yes,
I'm almost like in depression after watching some of these TV shows. And there was another Liam Neeson. Is that his name?
Taken.
No, it wasn't Taken.
That's a good one.
It was just a movie that I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. It's dark. It's got some drug lords and some tough themes. And I watched those 2 shows and I was like, boy, I feel horrible.
Yeah.
But I think watching the Marvel, you got some dark things, but at the end,
intensity for sure.
The heroes usually win, don't they? At the end,
not in all cases.
Okay, I don't know. Ways. I think I'll have a happier experience at the end of the movie than I do with some of these ones I just watched. All right, Glenn.
Right.
Top 5 movies. Good job, Ben.
Awesome. Well, so many good ones already been taken. So at the risk of being redundant, let me start off with something a little out there. I'm going to put Spider-Man 2, which now is canon because of No Way Home. Spider-Man 2 all the way back with Tobey Maguire. This is I think the most beautiful of them all. This is Doc Ock with Tobey Maguire. This is Mary Jane realizing, right at the end with the tears in his mask, that it's been Peter, her neighbor, all along. It just, I mean, I remember being gutted seeing those. It was so emotional. And Ock recognizing at the end, that it was his fault and taking himself down, only to later, show up again, 15, 20 years later in No Way Home. Outstanding. So that was a really beautiful one from the 90s, from pre-MCU now, grandfather.
Thank you for bringing that, because I remember Benjamin watching those.
Oh yeah, no, that's
or watching them with Benjamin.
My top 3 of all time forever.
Yeah.
Those are up there.
Yeah, beautiful. And the third one, maybe not, but the first 2.
I agree. It's got a place, but
absolutely. So now I'm in the thick of it, just like you guys. I'm going to put my order as Iron Man 4th, even though I love it so dearly and it starts everything. You know, I just love these other three. Can I say so much more? Black Panther, I'm going to put at number 3. I left the theater feeling like I had just watched an Oscar winner. You know, there are some lines in there. There are some turns in there that just get you. You know, that last line from Killmonger, you know, really puts it in a different spin. I'm going to put number 2. This is really tough for me because this is actually my favorite, I think, but I'm saving something for number 1. Winter Soldier, Captain America's Winter Soldier film. And bonus, I'm in that movie. I'm a blurry little dot all the way in the back of the opening scene. I happen to be walking through Washington, D.C., crossing the National Mall on my way to the Art Museum, and right in front of the Art Museum on the Capitol, or on the mall in front of the Capitol, they were filming that scene right at the beginning when Cap and Sam have been running around. I saw the car pull up that Natasha was in, saw the whole thing.
Wow.
And I swear you can make me, I'm that little fuzzy black dot in the back.
With the white hat.
Yeah, with those, no white hat. You know, I don't know what I was wearing. You know, I'm impossible to see. But it was funny. Like, there are joggers in that scene. If you watch that scene, there's joggers. They had these poor people jog back and forth 20 times as they do all these takes. It's the same background people. It was great. Yeah, I said to the guy, I said, what the heck's going on in here? He said, it's freezer burn. And I was like, oh, okay. So I Googled that right quick. And I got it in 20 seconds. I turned back to him. I was like, Captain America, Winter Soldier. That's the working title. They have different names when they're filming than what it's actually going to be code names. So that was pretty cool. All right, so got to save what I think is the ultimate until we get the next one of these. I think it was Ben who was just saying Infinity War and Endgame. I'm lumping them in as one. Mm-hmm. I'm going with that as my top. And if only they would allow 6-hour movies, I think this is meant to one story completion. But my God, to pay off all these, I think it was 21 at the time, movies into a narrative that explores all of the different characters, all of the different genre that had shown up, from very humble heist films like Ant-Man to mediocre level Save the World to cosmic thing, and to bring all of that into, you know, especially with Infinity War, what feels like, you know, Thanos's emerging story. I would have put him almost as a hero after that, you know, if you look at it from a certain lens. But that was, you know, the first Thanos movie, not the, you know, third Avengers movie. And then the way that they kind of flip that. And when you get that scene, they call it portals. If you're on the DVD looking at the chapters at the end when the big battle ensues. And I remember, and I'm probably not alone on this right here. I wept in the theater 3 different times, you know, when that happened. That was, I mean, just weeping with joy that this thing that you couldn't imagine could come to be was happening, that all of this fandom, all of this, you know, from when you're 8 years old, 10 years old, whenever you first get into believing in characters like this, that the CGI has leveled up to the point where we can see this playing out in what feels real. And then that extra bonus that these actual characters that have been, you know, acted out by the same actors over a decade and a half in all these different films, you know, have finally culminated in this moment, all of them on screen, battling for good against what feels like the ultimate evil. Just an amazing feeling. Something I don't know that I'll ever feel in the theater again. I mean, I hope they can build to another one, but it's truly special. Good
job, Glenn. Well, Johnny, I saved you for last because you asked for it.
Now I regret passing the torch here because they made all the perfect points here.
Well, but, you're the professional podcaster about Marvel, so you should be able to handle this pressure.
Dinner, Johnny. Earn your dinner.
So we're gonna have some crossover here because they're the elite of the elite, that top tier of Marvel. Kind of, it's that's the cool thing about it is so many fans can agree. Like we all have the same group of movies in our top of the top. So for my 5, I got to go with the original Iron Man as well. Just like these guys said, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. literally is Iron Man, and a lot of times you get geeky with these movies and you watch the extended cuts and the bonus features and you see the research they do ahead of time, and when they bring the actor in to try to read lines for the role to see if they're going to be the right fit. And so many times you watch those and then you're like, wait a minute, you can see they've really changed the style of how he talked, or you can see how that might have landed in the role, but you can see they kind of worked with the character and changed it as the movie went along. From the first second Robert Downey Jr. walks in front of a camera owned by Marvel, he is Iron Man. He has not changed one iota from then. And when you see him do the press junket and do interviews, when he's on the red carpet, if you watch the Comic-Con footage, when he comes out on stage, everyone comes out, waves to the crowd, sits in their chair. He comes out, whips his coat open. He's doing dance moves. He's throwing flowers out and like making these poses. I mean, they're going to write books for years on how to do perfect movie casting. And that's one of the best things that Marvel does is they know how to find the exact talent for every role, and they just nail it. It just seems like time and time and time again, which just sets them apart. My number 4, I'm going to go with Guardians as well. I think two of the best, or maybe not unsung heroes because everybody loves them, but James Gunn and Taika Waititi are 2 of the most important things that have ever happened to Marvel. Guardians was a big leap to, like Glenn said, they've done a good job of kind of building up, starting small on Earth, real life type of situations that people can relate to. And Guardians was that first big step into like, we're gonna get weird on this movie. We're gonna bring in weird characters from weird places. They're gonna look weird. They're gonna talk weird. And James Gunn just led it all the way, start to finish, and just nailed it. That movie is so fun. And at the same time, even though we're talking about these, that was the first time the Infinity Stone was like a real main feature in the movie, building that to that Infinity Gauntlet type of thing. So, I mean, it had the ability to very quickly kind of fade into something you could relate to, but they find a way to bring it all back to family. And even though everybody's looks different and has different backgrounds, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You all come together as a family and you all fight for what's right, and you all have each other's back, and just gives you the goosebumps there. That ending scene when Groot protects everybody and brings everybody together. So I know Taika, when I bring Taika's name up, he wasn't involved with this movie, but I think all of us, when we're putting this list together of top 5, you're like, well, maybe I should sneak in. I'll give a quick like honorable mention, but then there's like 7 movies you'd want to give as your quick number 6, whatever honorable mention. So that's why I
cheat like me.
Yeah. So that's my way of kind of giving Taika a props here. Taika and James Gunn, those 2 directors, for what they did with Ragnarok and Guardians, it brought so much more future in life with the MCU with what they brought to the table. For my number 3, I'm going to go with Civil War. And I if you've heard my podcast and you know a little bit about me, you know that I'm a huge fan of debate and hot takes, because I'm from the Northeast. I'm from Boston, so huge sports fan. Before I got into really anything podcast related or Disney really as my like big hobby type of thing, I was your classic like just Boston sports fan, hanging out with the boys, drinking beers, watching the games, going to the bar, that type of thing. So I love that debate and that thing you get with sports radio up here, where it's just constantly back and forth, and everybody always sees things from different sides. So I love hearing you guys all give your top 5 heroes, and a lot of Captain America and a lot of Iron Man, and that's exactly what you get in this movie. And like I said, when I was ranking my top 5 heroes and why I put Iron Man number 1 is, I love that sarcastic, like, I don't play by the rules. I got to do what I think is best for everybody. And I feed off that energy. I love that type of character. And you get that so perfectly here in Civil War with the good versus the badass type of guy with Captain America and Iron Man. And I love Civil War. And that's the first time we see Spider-Man. And again, it's just, I think one of the best things about Marvel is they have a plan. And so many times you see these movies and they're building a trilogy, a trilogy is coming, but it's almost like they're not even talking to each other, and the stories don't connect, and they're only focused on their one movie, and it makes the next movie not as good because they don't flow together. But Marvel is always thinking 10 steps down the field of what's coming up next. And the way they brought Spider-Man in through the Civil War movie, it was just so awesome to see them like, listen, we've already seen Spider-Man twice with an origin story. We already have this MCU fan base that's bought in, and they're going to come see these movies. We don't need to waste time and bore people with the same story that they've seen time and time again. Everybody already knows his backstory. Let's just bring him in further down the storyline and connect him with Iron Man. And they just nailed it. Like they always do, like Marvel always does. They nailed it with that movie and those storylines.
Nice.
And then I'll pull a Glenn move here. I'm going to combine, even though they're 1 and 2, they got to share. They're going to share the medal stand. There's no silver medal here. It's a joint gold medal here for Endgame and Infinity War. It is for all the things, the good things I've said about Marvel and how well they tie things together. It always seems that they're connected, different directors, different timelines, but they always a teamwork atmosphere. Everything is always building off each other and working together. And that's exactly the perfect culmination you get with these two movies together. Infinity War, you get, for the first time ever, you really see what it's like when the bad guy wins, and you got to walk out of that theater and know you got to wait a year before. I mean, we all had our predictions of what we were going to get and what we were going to see at Endgame, but you had a year to sit on how does it feel when the bad guy wins. What do you think about that? Chew on that and enjoy that for the next year. And like Glenn said, like you go back and forth. You're like, I hate Thanos. What a jerk. But then you're like, well, I don't know. Maybe when you think about it, maybe he did have some good points there. Right. Because you have that year to think about it. But Endgame, to me, like I said earlier too, like they're going to be doing classes on acting and building a movie and building a franchise over what they did here in Endgame. To go think of how many movies you've seen that they try to build that trilogy, and the first one's pretty good, the second one's really good, and the third one is just junk. Like it all falls apart. And that's only 3 movies. And Marvel pulls it off with whatever it was, like 21, 22, 23 movies or something. To have that many movies with so many different situations and scenes where they pay off like that one random line from movie 6 in the chain. They find that one line, pull it out of movie 6, bring it into Endgame, and like pay it off. And they do it over and over and over and over again. And in Endgame, there's so many times you're sitting in your chair like, what? I can't believe they said they remembered that line from that movie. That's so awesome. And then you can watch all the YouTube videos online after anyways, and there's probably 10 that you've missed that when they show it to you and explain it to you, like, oh my God, that one too. Like they just nail it every single time with these big picture and long-term plans. And to get that scene, and there was so much pressure that they've done such a good job for such a long time. And you've seen so many times a TV series that you've been watching for 5-6 years. You finally get to the last episode and almost everybody hates it. And you just hate the way they end it. And it almost like ruins the whole thing for you. Like, I don't know if you guys were into Game of Thrones, but that's exactly, I remember watching Game of Thrones season after season going, I will never see television this good again in my life. When this is over, I'm going to go back to season 1 and I'm going to watch it constantly, just a loop from start to finish all the time. And then you get those final 2 seasons of the show and you're like, I hate this. I hate you for doing this to me. And now today, I'm like, when the final episode of Game of Thrones ended, it's done for me. I've never gone back and watched a second of it. I haven't looked at the YouTube video on any of it. It is dead to me. I don't want anything to do with that project. And they're redoing the show now, and you got to get at least a half a season or a full season into this to even get a shot at me coming back to it. So for Marvel to have that much pressure after 21, 22, 23 movies and to absolutely nail it, it just felt so good. You had those goosebumps going so many times in the movie. You're like, I just can't believe I'm seeing it
Awesome.
And it's just they nail it in the way they tie it all back to Tony Stark, to Iron Man, to my favorite character. Just like Glenn, I was bawling my eyes out at the end of that movie when he cries. And the other thing that'll get me too is anytime you tie a character in a movie to a little kid or a father-daughter or father-son moment, whew, I'll get choked up right now just talking about it. But that connection that he has with his daughter in the movie and the I Love You 3000, just waterworks in the theater. So love it.
Oh, wow. All right.
This is what we love about the MCU. It's unprecedented to carry it this long and to make us care this deeply about these characters.
You're getting me excited to get into this. Well, I'm going to finish up, I think, with a topic Glenn suggested when we were brainstorming some ideas. What about the villains, Glenn?
Well, yes, you can't talk about the MCU and all these heroes without recognizing that the heroes operate in the service and defense of the villains. Let's not forget they're called the Avengers. Bad things have to happen for them to be called into action, right?
That's
not
right.
The pre-Vengers, the Avengers. All right. So, I've got my top 5 villains. You want me to start, Kurt?
Yes. I want you to go first.
All right. So I'm going to start with a villain who actually becomes a hero. And no, it's not Thanos that I was just mentioning before. The Winter Soldier in that movie begins as a really formidable, scary character. And you don't quite know what's happening there as it dawns on you what's going on. Try to stay spoiler-free-ish, but that he is matching Cap step for step, action for action. You realize there's some interesting kind of dichotomy happening there between the two of them, and then that big reveal as to who he actually is. A remarkable turn of events. But when his music comes on, still I get chills. That little riff, that kind of screechy noise. I forgot what it is. I remember someone was talking
I know exactly what it is.
What is it? What is it?
I'm not sure but I know I can literally hear it in my head right now.
Right.
I literally hear it. Yeah. Yep. Every time.
So that's great. And then bonus that he turns into I don't know, spoiler, but he turns into a good guy later, which is awesome. That kind of redemption story. Number 4, he's only on screen on a television show for maybe 2/3 of an episode. Kang will be his name later, but we meet him at the season finale of Loki, and he is called He Who Remains. Will also go by Nathaniel Richards and Rama Tut and who knows what else. But it is one variant of a character played by Jonathan Majors, who carries the season finale of one of my favorite of the Marvel television shows. Not with a bunch of action, not with a big fight, but just with words, logic, empathy, the telling his story. And it is fascinating, hanging on every words of this. Is he a madman? Is he a genius? Is he a friend? Is he a foe? What is he? Just absolutely brilliant acting. And I think this guy has the potential going forward to be the Thanos or a Thanos of the next couple of phases, but just meeting him and having him just chew on every scene, every line was remarkable. Great villain, even if he only shows up for a little bit. And number three, let me go with Loki himself. Loki is absolutely just like he's delicious to watch. It's just an amazing performance every time he's on screen. And these guys probably know that when Loki showed up in the very first Thor movie, he was a minor character. He was not supposed to have a long character arc in the MCU, but Tom Hiddleston's performance made everybody fall in love with him, fall in love with the character. And this will be the theme of my next 3. Is that you can empathize with the character. You can really connect with his motives and his agenda. And Loki is a damaged soul who's looking for attention, redemption, and maybe even there's a hero turn there at the end, but I'm going to lump him in with the villains at this point. He's just great. My number 2, this might surprise you. I'm going with the big bad here. I'm going with Thanos number 2. And I love Thanos as a villain. And I think the mark of these great villains is that you can empathize with their mission statement, that you can actually find moments where you identify with them, maybe even root for them. And there are those moments, as I mentioned, for Thanos with me. He's also just incredible to look at, a technical wizard. I mean, just beating up the Hulk, who we thought was the best, right? And making it look like child's play. The CGI on him in that final movie, it gets better through the MCU. If you're watching those spoilers or those little teasers at the end, trust me, the CGI gets better by the time you get to those final movies. And it's just an amazing, visual performance. But my number 1 is going to be the villain that I have always identified the most with and really empathized with his character. And at many points, despite my faith in the hero, wanted him to come out on top. And that's Killmonger. Eric Killmonger from the Black Panther, a man done wrong, who spends his whole life trying to set things right, goes about it in a wrong way. Of course, that's what makes him the villain and not the hero. But there are many, many moments when you understand his motivations, and they really make a lot of sense to you. Just a captivating performance.
All right. Wow. I'm going to bounce. Benjamin, I think I'm going to you next.
All right.
Favorite villains.
All right. So I'd say my number 5 is going to have to be Obadiah from the first Iron Man. That, to me, just being one of my favorite movies, and, just the introduction to the whole MCU, to see how deceptive he was in the movie. And it was a total twist, a total turn. Someone that you think, Tony Stark's basically his mentor since his father is gone. His father's right-hand man, and he ultimately is totally against him. And his, just that turn, the change of events, I'll never forget that. And just how you see how corrupt and these guys can get with power, and his performance. I forget the actor's name, but you know him well. But he does. Yes, Jeff Bridges. Yep, and he does just a great job. For my number 4. I'm probably going to have to go with Ultron. I like Ultron a lot. I like that. It's not my favorite Avengers movie, but I do enjoy, Ultron, his character, where he's kind of just created by Tony Stark. It's just someone of the whole idea behind him is that he was made for good and ended up being, the worst thing that could possibly happen, the worst outcome. Just how he's able to spread his evilness all through the technology and, go outward. And it's just, I really enjoy it. He's almost like human-like, even though he's a robot, and he understands, and, he almost is misunderstood like Thanos in a way, but, he wants to cleanse. And these guys always want to cleanse. That's the thing. They always want to cleanse and restart. That's that character. I enjoy it a lot.
Have you seen him in What If, Ben? Have you seen the What If series?
I have not gotten through the What If series. I think the last one I got was the zombie episode, and I have not finished that yet.
Make your way through it as an Ultron fan. I think you'll love that.
I do, yeah. Ultron, I love the way he talks down to the Avengers, and he really kind of just puts them in their place. He's saying, you guys think you're so great, unstoppable, and he's like, well, I'm here to show you that you're not. So it's a good arc there. Where am I at? Number 3 here. My number 3, I think I would have to go with this. This is where it's getting tough. I'd have to go with Ragnarok with I'm blanking on her name.
Hela,
yes. Hela number 3. She makes the whole movie for me, honestly, when she comes back after Odin's death, and just to see this whole his whole world is kind of shattered in one moment, where he's no, everything he knows about his father is pretty much a lie, or what he's everything he was born and raised to believe, and that there was this whole history of conquering and death and overtaking and just something that Odin locked away. And all of a sudden, right before he dies, he's like, oh, by the way, this is my daughter. You're not the first. You're not the firstborn. And yeah, she's bad news. And so to have her come back, and she's just an absolute killer. You know what I mean? She really just is just so strong, so powerful, cunning, evil. And you really, that's one of the characters, you know, we have like Thanos and all these other guys where you kind of just like, you understand their perspective. With her, you just want her to lose so bad. That's, you know what I mean? Right from the beginning, you just want her to be done with. You want her to lose. You know, you just know there's nothing more than just power and, you know, that's all she wants. She's power hungry, evil, and wants to conquer. So that would probably be my number 3, I said.
Yep.
All right. So now number 2, I'm going to say again, Killmonger. Of course, you know, he's just, I really love that character, and you totally understand why he is the way he is. And it's just all these deception. That's what Marvel is good on. They hit you in the heart. You know what I mean? They make it so understanding. You know what I mean? These guys, these characters, you know, he learns, you know, T'Challa, he learns that his dad, you know, lied to him and kept a huge secret. And of course, as in their last breath, you know, or whatever, they find out all this history of deceit, and it ends up being, you know, coming back and, you know, hurting them with, you know, Killmonger killing his father. And, that's actually the king's brother at the time. So that whole story with him, and, you know, you understand, which is the hardest part about these guys. And the best thing about Marvel, you understand where these guys are coming from. My number 1 overall, I'm going to have to go with, now that he was back in the MCU, I'm going to have to go with the Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, and the Green Goblin. And not only that, is the first Spider-Man movie is just like, it just holds a place in my heart, unlike any other of the Marvel movies. And now that that they've wrapped it all together, it's all cohesive. The Goblin, he is so evil, and you want to love him so much when he first comes back in the movie. He's like this, he seems like he's going to be a good guy, and that he's just misunderstood. And, you know, you see Norman as, you know, before, you know, because these obviously the 2 characters, Norman Osborn and the Goblin. He's just such an evil guy. Like, when he's the Goblin, he is just horrid, and he's just funny. He's almost like, it's almost funny, but he's just so witty, intense. To have him come back for the new movie, you know, where we say, you know, 20 years later, is just, it was such a treat. And of course, he's the one at the end of the whole movie that's just still bad to the end. You know what I mean? Just his last breath is just still fighting against these guys. Even just like in the first movie when he dies at the end, and, you know, you think he's going to be befriend Peter, and then he tries to kill him with the glider, ends up killing himself. It's just the same thing. But I've always loved the Goblin, and that gets credit to Willem Dafoe, because I'm a big Willem Dafoe guy. That's my list there.
Platoon. He was awesome when he
Platoon,
hit the scene
Boondock
in
Saints.
Platoon.
There's just so many good ones.
That's the movie I remember. All right, I'm gonna leave Tom for last, and Johnny, let's have you give us your favorite villains.
Sure. All right. So I think this is my category here to kind of think outside the box a little bit and give some different answers this time. And right out of the gate here for you on number 5, I'm going to go with a bad guy that we haven't even got to see yet, other than maybe 4 seconds in the latest trailer that just came out. And I'm going to roll the dice and push all my chips in on Taika Waititi, because I cannot wait to see Gore, the God Butcher, in the new Thor Love and Thunder movie in July. Like I said, we only got him for a few seconds in the trailer, and there was all kinds of debate ahead of time, like how much CGI are they going to go with, how over the top are they going to be. And from what we could see in the trailer, that small clip, it honestly doesn't look like there's really that much to him. He looks, like when I first saw him, like, oh, this isn't going to look anything like Christian Bale. And as he comes into frame, you're like, that just looks like Christian Bale with like makeup on. Like, yeah. So, which I'm excited about, because Christian Bale to me is such a good actor. So when you were going to cover him up in paint, I was like, are we going to lose something here? So I'm like I said, I'm rolling the dice here with this one, but I'll give him my number 5 spot, because for what Taika did fixing the Thor franchise with Ragnarok, as these guys had it in their top 5, I cannot wait for this movie. I would be willing to bet that this movie is going to easily jump up into my top 5 after it comes out. So I cannot wait for this this character, this movie. It's going to be awesome. For number 4, though, I'll have a little lap over here. I'm going to go with Loki for my number 4. When I think of Loki, I think of one word, and it's charisma. That guy just oozes charisma. Just every time he's on screen, you just can't help but, like, doesn't matter how many Avengers are on the screen, you go right to Loki, and you're like, I want to hear that guy talk. I want to hear what that guy has to say. Just give me more Loki anytime we can get. And his show that he got on Disney Plus was such a great choice and smart choice, I think, by the MCU to just take that character and go, why do we got to throw him in a 2-hour movie? Let's give him an entire series and stretch him out and give him as much screen time as we possibly can, because you just can't help but be entertained by everything that guy does every time the camera is turned on. So I'll give Loki my number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go back here with a new choice. I'm going to go with Baron Zemo, because Civil War was in one of my top 5 movies, and I love that just like Okoye from my top 5 heroes. I love when just a regular guy or regular girl with no powers, just all they have is their own brain and their own plan, and they just put in the work and make it happen. And you have literally just a guy from Sokovia that takes down the entire Avengers team and dismantles them from top to bottom. So I love me some Baron Zemo. Number 2, I'll go with the popular pick here, Killmonger. Just all the same points these guys said for Killmonger. Just an awesome character, awesome storyline, and you can really feel for a villain, like they said, where, you know, sometimes you're like, is he really the villain? I mean, for what he had to go through in his life, he's just kind of just a man looking for some revenge. So you kind of heart goes out to him a little bit there. And my number 1, it's not going to be the big purple guy from Endgame and Infinity War. I love Josh Brolin, love that character, but he probably would have been my honorable mention, my number 6 on my list here. But I'm going to give my number 1 spot to, when I think back to all the Marvel movies I've seen, the one scene with a villain in the main superhero that just literally made the hair stand up on my arms and give me the chills was the Vulture. Michael Keaton, Adrian Toomes in Spider-Man Homecoming, that scene when they get to the dance and Peter's date gets out of the car and it's just 2 guys in a car talking to each other, just gives me the chills. The tone in Michael Keaton's voice, I mean, that might be one of my top 5 scenes in the entire MCU, is just that short little scene of Michael Keaton and Tom Holland talking to each other in a car is just awesome. And that one scene is enough for me to just push him right to the front of the line. I love Adrian Toomes, and I cannot wait to see where they go with this Spider-Man franchise, because I want more. Give me more Michael Keaton in the MCU.
Fantastic job. All right, Tom, bring us on home.
Okay, so my number 5 is a relatively newcomer, but he's been around for a long time, and that's the Kingpin.
Oh, yeah.
The Kingpin. And if you haven't been reading Daredevil this past run, it's probably the best written comic over the past 5 years, when he was mayor of New York and he's getting ready in the comics to run for president. So imagine that, a guy like that becoming president. Hopefully we'll be able to explore some of that when we actually get him into the MCU proper. Number 4 would be Baron Zemo for me, for a lot of the same reasons that Johnny said. And he was able to take apart the whole Avengers team fairly easily too. And he didn't have to do all. And plus, as we've seen in Falcon Winter Soldier, he's an excellent dancer. I mean, come on. That was probably the one scene in all of Marvel that made me laugh the most, was seeing Baron Zemo at the discotheque. That was hysterical. Nice. Number 3 for me would be Loki, for a lot of the same reasons that everybody else has said. You have to remember, he's the trickster god. You know, this is what he does. This is entirely in his wheelhouse. That's how he's supposed to be.
Who's the actor for Loki?
Tom Hiddleston.
Okay.
Yeah, they are playing right into his wheelhouse, what he's supposed to do. You know, is he really a classic villain? No, he's just up to mischief. And that's what he likes doing. and he does it very, very well. Number 2 for me would be Killmonger. For a lot of the same reasons as everybody else said. He's on a revenge trip, and the things that happened to him watching his father die, going through what he went through, all the training that he went through just to be heard by his family to say, no, I'm here and we're going to start to do things differently. He maybe went about it the wrong way, but I think everybody that watched that film had an understanding of a guy done wrong. I think everybody did. But number 1 is the one villain that's appeared in all the films and not appeared in all the films. And that's Mephisto.
Mephisto watch 2022.
He has been rumored to be in everything and behind everything, but we've never seen him.
Oh.
I can't believe you went there, Tom. That is hilarious.
But truly, there has been so much evidence to point he's been behind this. He's been behind this. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. It's all a big red herring. So we could say that, Mephisto is the biggest villain that's a red herring at this point. But you never know. Down the road, you might see him. But I don't know. I don't think Marvel is ready to go down that road. As to having basically a demon that's devil-like be a main villain. I just don't see Disney doing it.
All right,
not at this time.
Well, I'll finish with this because you kind of led right into that. Is there a hero you're looking forward to see, or is coming?
No, I'm not going to mention anyone that's been rumored or is coming, but there's only one correct answer as a hero that we should all want to see and we deserve to see, and that's Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl, she's the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. She's beaten Thanos. She's beaten Galactus. She's beaten everybody. She is unbeatable. And she has a squirrel.
Closer. I don't know. We might be getting closer with Ms. Marvel.
Well,
right?
she was supposed to be in the new Warriors series that was canceled.
Oh.
She was supposed to be in that, and the actress that was supposed to play her is the lady from the AT&T commercials.
Oh,
perfect.
And
by the way,
and get this, I've been listening to it. There is a Squirrel Girl, the Unbeatable radio show that's from Disney, that's from Marvel, and it's literally a mock-up of a radio call-in show for Empire State University. So it's completely fictional, but you have a lot of cameos by other superheroes that call in for this self-help line, because that's what it is. It's a self-help hero line. And she gives all this goofy advice. They all do. And it's like comic gold every week.
Nice.
But that's the one that we deserve.
All right.
Hopefully we get it.
Anyone else have another opinion?
Ooh. I think. Go ahead, Johnny.
Go back. Go. Yeah, you go.
I was gonna say another one that I'm looking forward to. I also play the video games and whatnot in the Marvel universe. And one of the great games that I played was Miles Morales. That one, I think they're gonna. Eventually, they have the Into the Multiverse and the animated movies, which were fantastic. I don't know if you've seen the first Into the Multiverse or Miles Morales, but that one would be exciting. To see them bring him into with Peter Parker. The video game itself and just the way those games are, it's just they can go anywhere with that. So I think that would be pretty cool.
All right.
So the character I'm looking for, I knew about him. I've enjoyed him in cartoons, and he's been in a couple of previous movies that are not MCU canon, I don't think, at this point with all the cameos and multiverse shenanigans. I ended up watching this series that's got to be from like the 1980s, and it's so angsty, the writing and everything like that, but there are great little philosophical nuggets there for this character. But It's the Silver Surfer, who is a herald of a big villain, or I don't know if he's a villain. He's just a
Galactus.
The Galactus, this entity that devours planets. But what's his name, Tom? His actual name, Aaron something or other.
Yeah, it's an alien name. I don't recall. I never.
Yeah, he's this alien from a planet who gets transformed and given all this cosmic power, and he wrestles with the burdens of his job and his appointment and morality, at the same time. He's a very interesting, complex character. Like I said, if you can find on Disney Plus the Silver Surfer cartoon, I think it's worth a watch. They're short episodes. The animation's pretty decent for, the time period, but the concepts, the philosophy that's being employed in every episode, a little overwrought, a little angsty, a little, like what you would write if you're 13 years old, kind of writing comic book scripts. But the nuggets there are really great, and I'd love to see what the MCU can do with a complex character like him.
That would be a good one. That would be a really good one.
Fantastic. Well, Johnny Jamerson, you were the inspiration for this episode. I want to thank you for contacting me and getting Glenn and Ben are clapping for you. And Tom, he's been bursting to have this topic covered somewhere, somehow. So thank you for bringing us all together, and congratulations on your podcast, the DMSW podcast. Go check out Johnny Jamerson anywhere that you find your podcasts. You want to finish up with your pick of a superhero or some kind of character you want to bring in to the Marvel?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I'll take this chance too to thank you guys for having me here and for welcoming me with open arms into the community that you've built. I guess if you go back and listen to episode 1 of my podcast, I explain why I kind of got into this, and being up here in New England when the pandemic hit and the whole sports world changed, and hanging out with friends and watching sports changed for me, and my focus and my hobbies kind of shifted out of the sports realm and into Disney and podcasting and that type of thing. And the more and more I got into it, the more and more I was like, I want to do this too. I want to get involved, because I had all this passion and love for Disney and Marvel and Star Wars. And I have friends and family up here that like Disney, but they don't like it the way all of us like it. So I turned to podcasting and to Facebook and Instagram to try to meet some new people here and find some fellow Disney geeks. And very happy to find all you guys here. And that's one of the things I love about the Disney community is everybody is always just so welcoming, and everybody's in it for the same thing. Everybody just wants to have fun, have some laughs, and have a good time. So having a blast hanging out with you guys. And
so great to have you. We love the enthusiasm, Johnny.
Awesome. Sounds good. So I'll give you my one character, and I'm actually kind of cheating here because it just came out within the last week or so that Disney officially is in production now on coming out with a new Daredevil show, and they're going to use the same actor from the Netflix series, and whether it's a complete reboot or a soft reboot or however they're going to do it is still up in the air. But to me, the way they ended the last Spider-Man movie, kind of taking Tom Holland away from all of our main MCU superheroes and his friends and his girlfriend, and kind of making him this one little solo guy again in New York City, I think there's so much opportunity for some awesome crossover, and it all comes down to how smart Sony wants to play it out. But to me, there's just so much potential with Daredevil and Spider-Man and Moon Knight now to have all these very cool characters all cross paths just in New York City alone. We can all enjoy the Avengers movie and the big scope and outer space villains and all this stuff, but I love the small timey, right down into the streets type of content too. So give me Spider-Man, Daredevil, Moon Knight, all those guys.
Bring back the whole Defenders. Just bring them all back. Sure. You can leave Iron Fist.
Not Iron Fist, yeah.
Actually, you know what? Bring the new Iron Fist, the guy that used to, if he didn't read the comics, he was Swordmaster and Agents of Atlas. But there's a new Iron Fist as well in the comics. But yeah, just bring all the Defenders back. Bring them all.
Well, guys, this has been a lot of fun for me. I hope everyone in the audience has been listening. If you've not been a big Marvel fan, you got some excitement to go dig in. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through all of these movies. I don't know.
I cancel some plans there.
I'll lay around and never leave the bedroom with my bedroom TV. But thanks so much, Glenn Kessler and Tom Ellison, Johnny Jamerson, and Benjamin Stone. Thanks for coming out. It was really great to see you guys, and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Thanks, Kurt.
Right on, Kurt.
Thank you guys.
All right, a big thanks to Johnny Jamerson, Tom Ellison, Glenn Kessler, and my son Benjamin Stone. Just remind you can get more talk about Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney on Johnny's podcast, DMSW Podcasts. Check them out. Well, we had a great time in Albany. For the Albany meetup, again, thank you to Wendy Fox and Samantha Kuhn for putting that out there. I recorded a couple of sessions of the Jeopardy games that we played up there. A lot of fun. And if you're a supporter of the podcast through patreon.com, you will hear those 2 recordings. I put that out this past week. I like to put out a couple of recordings. Some of those live recordings that I've been doing down in the parks from my trip in June. But again, you can pledge a monthly donation to the show or even annually. Patreon.com. Look for Geekin' on WDW. Enjoy that episode 123 of The Inner Circle. I got some more live recordings coming up soon. I got to give a big shout out to Kevin Curtis Allen. He not only became another annual subscriber to the podcast through Patreon, so thank you for doing that, Kevin, but he sent me an Isle of Wight Festival poster, which I am preparing to mount on the wall somehow, and I've been flattening it out, getting it ready. He also sent me a magnetic bottle opener, which I love those. Something that he knows I collect. And I think he sent me a couple buttons too from his podcast. Oh, a keychain from his podcast, The Brit's Guide to the Disney Vacation Club. He also has the Florida podcast. So thank you, Kevin, for all the support over all these years. We had a little chat on Facebook too, and that was fun. And Nicolette Bullock, thanks for becoming a monthly subscriber to the podcast. If you guys ever need anything from me, I appreciate you guys so much who donate to the podcast through patreon.com. And also you guys that are booking trips through Mom and Judy, the Traveling Tiaras at gmail.com, email them. Check the show notes for our emails. We'd love to talk to you about your next trip. Or if you need anything that I can help you with, reach out to me. We're committed to helping you enjoy your Disney World vacations. And I'd love to have some more of those fun intros. I know I've got another one from the Albany meetup. I thought I'd wait for next week to put that one out there. So don't worry, guys. I got that. And I'll be putting that out next week. But if you do an intro for me, I would love it. Just record them and send them to kurt.stone@geekinonwdw.com. And one other big Geekin event coming up, August 27th. It's the Maryland Geek Meet. Glenn Kessler is hosting. Glenn and I recorded a couple of trip reports for him, and he's got some great tips, including fantastic deep dives into the Genie Plus system and also Toy Story Mania. All of his tips to really hack that shooting game down when you're down in Disney World. But Glenn told me he was waiting till the Albany meet was done before he announced that they're doing the Renaissance Festival again this year, 2nd year in a row. The Maryland Geek Meet. Contact Glenn or me and let us know if you're planning on going down August 27th. It's a Saturday. Good times. Thanks, Glenn, for putting that on. I actually might skip Glenn ahead and release his episode next week because the tips are just so great and I want to get that out to you guys. So thanks for going geeking on Walt Disney World with us. We really appreciate you listening and geeking with us every single day. We love you, geeks. Have a magical day, and I hope all your dreams come true.